Welcome to Amazon Legends, where we have real stories about making it big on Amazon. Our guests are CEOs of large companies and entrepreneurs who became power sellers, also providers specializing in helping sellers, aggregators that acquire sellers, and former Amazonians will give us an insight from behind the scenes. Here is your host, Nick Urison.
Welcome to another episode of Amazon Legends. My next guest today used to be a seller, and as he was doing his selling, facing all the challenges that everybody faces, he discovered a methodology. Now, this guy is a systems and numbers oriented person, so keep that in mind. He's coming to the table with some kind of a knowledge, so he's playing with different things, and so he discovered the methodology that gave him his growth. And since then, he sold his company and built a platform that uses his methodology. And today, he's the founder of Advite, which is a social media monitoring platform. And when he's not working, he likes to play music, play chess, and also volleyball. So with that, everybody, meet my guest, Derek Jouppi. Welcome to the show, Derek.
Hey, thanks, Nick. Thanks, Nick, for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you. So today, you're going to share a lot of extremely valuable information for our listeners who can take what you share with them and go straight, put it to use and see the benefits of it. So this is the kind of episode I like because it's what I call actionable, that anybody listening can use and benefit their business. And it's about driving business to your listings. And so what you discovered as you were playing around different ways of driving business to your listings, you got 10,000 orders in a very short period of time with this methodology. So this is what we're going to talk about, and this is what your platform does today. What you are here to do is share with us what is the methodology, what's the principle for it. And of course, your platform does this, but if somebody wanted to do this on their own without the platform, how would they go about it and what can they expect? So let's dive right in and unpack this whole methodology that you figured out.
Let's do it. Where shall we start?
Wherever you want. So if I was a seller, I would want to know, okay, so how do I do this? Where does the traffic come?
So the idea that we're going to be talking about today is just called social selling, which is the notion of you're doing sales on social media in the public, in front of everybody. Although it may sound like you're like responding to one person at a time, making one sale, when it comes to social media, there are thousands of people who are reading the posts and the comments on social media. So it's essentially like you're placing an ad. That's something that you control, and it's directly with the customer who's trying to buy the thing that you sell. And that ad is going to be read by lots of people who are related to that person who's posting something. And then their audience will read your thing, and a percentage of those people will also convert to be customers of you. So at a high level, what this looks like is imagine someone posts online, Reddit, Twitter, a Facebook group somewhere, and they go, hey, I'm looking to buy blank. Can someone give me recommendations for blank that I can trust or that is good? And anybody can respond to these posts, including, and this is kind of the thing that nobody talks about, including the brand. Like, why can't the brand respond? Like, if you sell something, why can't you recommend your own thing? You know it better than anybody else. Like, why does the world have to rely on just strangers to comment? Like, I would rather experts who know the products and design them and build them and sell them tell me about what I should know about selecting a product like this before trusting an like a stranger without credentials. And as long as, and we'll get into this more in terms of tactics and how you do it, but as long as the response in the comment is good, you're very likely to get a lot of sales. And unlike ads, where you are paying to be placed, ads do not snowball out of control. If you have an ad, it is served to that person, and Facebook or Reddit or wherever, Twitter, wherever you're buying your ads, they will control exactly how many people see your ad, and there's not really any ways to share those ads. When it comes to social media, it is designed to go viral. The great story is Stanley mugs. Have you talked about the Stanley mug story on your podcast?
No, tell us about it.
Okay, so Stanley mugs is an old school thermos brand. You may have heard of the name recently because of its blowing up on TikTok and social media. Why did it blow up? So the story goes, there's a woman whose car caught fire and she's safe, nobody got hurt, but the car was a total blackened write-off, except for her Stanley mug, which she had, probably inherited from some other family member. Old school thermos sitting perfectly preserved in the cup holder because it resisted the fire. It's made of steel. It's a thermos. It's good with heat. And this video took off on TikTok. The brand found out about it very fast, and in the comments decided to write back to this person and say, hey, can I buy you a car? I'm so sorry about your car fire. And then that blew up. And it's like, oh my God, can you believe that Stanley is going to be buying this person a car? And a mug brand that had been doing $75 million in sales for the last 75 years has done $875 million in sales last year and is on pace to keep this up. So could an ad ever do that? No. Was this just one person doing a one-to-one sale? Yes. Now, the brand that we're talking about had a bit of money. This post was getting traction, but the magic that was created was social selling. Like, they created a great interaction with a customer in front of the public, and that's like placing an ad. Like, this whole video is just buy Stanley mugs. Look, they'll survive your car fire, right?
Well,
and it worked.
In my book, it's better than placing an ad because
it's way better. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you place an ad, what does that look like? It looks like a banner or a video or something that says buy this. But this, in fact, is the reverse. It's somebody says, I want to buy, and you say, well, here, you can buy it here, right? That's, you're meeting the demand.
Exactly. Like, the hard part about why this isn't done, like why this is not more popular, is it's like, good luck finding this content. For brands that do this, the most common way that it's done is with humans. So if you sell, I don't know, let's say you sell sunscreen, right? I come from the sunscreen industry, so maybe I'll talk about sunscreen because all the analogies just come straight to mind. If you sell sunscreen, how are you going to find the posts where moms are trying to buy sunscreen for their kids? If you try searching for these, like, how often are you going to search? If you find threads that are a day old, people are probably not going to look at them. The algorithm's not going to rank them. And even if you comment, even if it's something nice, the odds are that nobody's going to see it. So you've got to be there. First rule when it comes to social selling is you have to be fast. 50% of the time, the comment that gets the most engagement is the first comment. So if you're first, you succeed. Even if your answer is not that good, just because you were first, you will be the top comment.
Well, you'll get the exposure right away, and then you'll probably get the click-through.
Yeah.
So that's already giving you enough exposure.
Yeah, we all know we want to be first, but how do you get there? So like if you use, say, the search bar of Twitter, Reddit, or Facebook, and you type in sunscreen, you'll probably find a lot of posts that aren't necessarily related to people who are trying to get sunscreen recommendations. Maybe they don't even use the word sunscreen. Maybe they use the word sunburn, right? How do you prevent sunburns? Recommend me something. Should I be using aloe? Well, that's somebody, if they're looking to buy aloe, they're actually probably had an experience where their sunscreen didn't protect them. And that's also a good lead. Picking which keywords you choose can become incredibly daunting. We first tried this with a number of what they're called keyword monitoring tools. that are out there. If you do a quick Google search, I'm sure you will find tons of keyword monitoring tools. But the reality is that even then, once you have a keyword monitoring tool, you still need a social media manager or a human who kind of has these notifications watching, like they're watching them to make sure that they're reading through them and constantly just trying to find the good ones. Which is what I did. Like, so Nick, like you've been hinting that like I've done this before. So when it came to, we used to sell stickers that would change color when you need to reapply sunscreen. The brand is on Amazon. It's called Spot My UV. Like I'll maybe take a step back when I talk about Spot My UV, because this was even harder than just selling a product like sunscreen, because sunscreen stickers aren't a category. Like what would you, like you saw an ad for like like you search up sunscreen and you see ads for stickers. Why am I getting this bad ad? Because people don't even know your product exists and what it does and how to do it. Like ads are even incredibly hard if you're selling any goods that are differentiated. Like if you sell cosmetics, personal care items, from a picture, it just looks like goop in a can. You know, if you've got something interesting, you're in the supplement space, it just looks like pills in a can, right? But they're probably formulated to have some unique benefit that is really hard to convey in like 2 seconds of a picture of someone scrolling by, right? Like I'm not sure. Like, have you talked about like what are your thoughts on this, Nick?
Well, I mean, the consumer, any product that requires consumer education, that's a process. It's going to be a lot more expensive. You're going to have to try so many different things because you don't know what language to use to describe. And also your positioning is important. Where do you place this? Do you place this with what kind of a product? Because nobody's going to be looking for that product specifically because they don't know that such a thing exists yet.
Yeah.
So it's a big challenge. This, by the way, is something that maybe even for products that are not necessarily completely different, but may have a unique aspect of it. Like, for example, I have a client that sells diffuser oils.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, what is a diffuser oil? You put it in a diffuser and it makes the place smell nice, right? That's all it is. But their diffuser oil is very different. You know what it does? It changes your mood.
So like aromatherapy type. Yeah.
Yeah, but this is not about like feel good mood I'm talking about. Like, for example, if you have sleeping problems, you're finding it hard to fall asleep, you put the type that is for sleeping issues, puts you to sleep. If you are in the workplace, you need to be focused on, you're working on numbers or whatever, then you put the type in that will help you stay focused.
Yeah.
So
And
it
if you're
has,
searching for things like 5-hour energy or a sleep mask and you see oil come up, it's going to be confusing, right? So how
exactly,
does that brand tell
yes,
people that this is not just diffuser oil, but that it solves a problem that they have. It's an education. It's this exact same
yeah,
sort of question, right?
yeah. As I was listening to you, I was thinking them actually that this doesn't have to be necessarily a unique product. This is everybody's problem because everybody is trying to differentiate themselves, right? And usually, and there's a great marketing book. Long time ago, I read it. I'm sure it's still out there, called 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing. And the first one is be the first in your category. If you're not the first, create your own category. So
Yeah.
everybody's trying to do that. But you are on a platform like Amazon Marketplace that is governed by templates and categories and item types and everything else. So how are you gonna do that, right? So it's everybody's challenge. So it doesn't have to be a unique product. Your social setting completely eliminates that challenge, right?
The idea is that instead of having to worry about like where I'm serving at, what category am I in, With good social selling, you're in the communities where people who have these problems are discussing and trying to collectively figure out solutions. Like, let's talk about Reddit, for example. So Reddit is a platform that I would say most brands do not touch. It is because Reddit is a non-syndication platform. And what I mean by that is brands think of Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and TikTok and YouTube, because you can take the same video and cut it short for YouTube or shorter for TikTok, and you can put the long form on your Facebook, and then you cut a reel on Instagram. So you can syndicate your content across all these platforms, and most brands have all these things, and they spray and pray and they hope for the best that their customers are going to be on one of these social media platforms, find out about this content, and engage with it. Reddit does not have profiles in the same way that every other brand has profiles. Instead of following people, you follow communities where people discuss certain problems. And if you post content that's clearly branded content from your brand, that's like an ad for your brand, 99% of the time it will get removed and you will get banned, because Reddit does not allow for brands to post content on Reddit. Sounds like a terrible platform for a business to think about, because the barrier to entry isn't so high. But the Reddit is the community, or the social media platform that every brand should be thinking about in 2024 for two good reasons. So one, they've started indexing with Google. I'm not sure how much you've talked about SEO in the last maybe 6 months, but I'm pretty sure it's probably come up a number of times. The SEO is just changing. And one of the big changes that was rolled out, and it comes to at least Google's search algorithm, is that Google decided to start indexing Reddit content. So the number one word when you type in blank recommendation, you can try this at home, is Reddit. Google wants to add Reddit onto your search result because it sees Reddit as a trusted knowledge source. Even if you don't add Reddit, Reddit will still outrank most of your content and your competitors' content. And this is content created by unqualified, random individuals on the internet. And they are the ones who control your brand without you being in that conversation too, right?
Like Wikipedia.
It's like Wikipedia, but you can't edit the article as a brand, right? It's like, what? Their user base has grown from 150 million to almost 500 million in the last few years, in the last 2 to 3 years. Like, their size has tripled, and the platform has never been more important. Because and I would say another big benefit for why businesses might be interested in Reddit is, like, imagine you sell, let's talk about this, like these oils, right? These essential oils. You only need to consider a very small portion of Reddit, aromatherapy, naturopathy. There's probably 10 to 15 related communities where content about essential oils is probably going to be discussed and talked about. The rest of Reddit that covers like pictures of dogs and cats and discussions of politics is not relevant for you, but it will be relevant for some other brand that maybe sells pet food, and it's never been easier to organize your customers and learn what they're actually saying. Other social media platforms are not organized in this way. They're organized by person and a person or a brand and a following around that brand. But Reddit aggregates and sorts your customers for you. Like, it's incredible. Yet brands are scared of engaging with Reddit, or they don't use it, or maybe they just don't use it themselves, so they don't think about using it for their business. That's where we started when I was doing my business. Because for me, when tools at the time weren't working to help me find the right content, I would just refresh on like the skincare addiction community every time I could, and hope that I would see a post about sunscreen, because I did some research and found that this community was the biggest community that can most consistently discuss what sunscreen to buy. And one moment I found my opportunity. I happened to stumble upon a thread when it was very early on, and it was about a mom asking about what sunscreen to buy for her 3-year-old toddler. So I commented in the thread and I said, hey, I'm a sunscreen expert. Here's all the things you should consider. And when it comes to reapplying sunscreen, there's a new gadget. It's called Spot My UV, and it will teach your kid that they should reapply sunscreen whenever the sticker turns purple. And if some people engage with it, not many. We had a few orders that day. But most importantly, one of those orders was from a customer who posted a review of the sticker back on that same community 2 weeks later. And, you know, I was notified, it started blowing up, and I found out about the thread. It happened at 3 in the morning, so I didn't find out about it till I woke up at, 7:30. And I jumped into the comments and I said, hey, actually, I'm the inventor. I created this product. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. And I answered more than 200 questions that day in that thread, from people asking about sunscreen, how the sticker worked, what sunscreens it worked with. And then people on Reddit took that content and shared it to other platforms. It got put on Instagram. And TikTok wasn't really a thing, or as big of a thing yet. It got posted on other subreddit boards. We had a sale going on our website at the time. And it got posted to like a deals subreddit. It's like 50% off these sunscreen stickers. And then we had 10,000 orders in a day. At the time, we offered same-day shipping and overnight shipping. And I think it took 4 weeks to get all those orders out, because it was me and my co-founder's fulfillment team. There was no 3PL in place. It was like, all right, well, this is crazy. We had enough inventory. We just didn't we expected it to last the whole summer, not like the first week of summer,
Oh, so you were lucky because this happened at the beginning of.
Yes. Yeah.
If it happened
And
at
then,
the end, it would have sold out very quickly.
And then here's what happens when you have great social media traction. People like to back winners. If you have great social media traction and people love your brand, then I know this is predominantly an e-commerce audience, but if you do plan to go into retail for any product that you have, showing great social media engagement for your product is a huge way to get a win. So at the time, in addition to launching on Amazon and getting into Amazon Launchpad, we also got into CVS and Walmart and Target and 40 major retailers, including those brands, Albertsons, you name it. We were in 10,000 retail stores with a 1 SKU item, and on Amazon and Amazon Launchpad. And it all happened because of a couple Reddit comments. It took no money, and it took a lot of my time, but it took no actual money. And it took a little bit of luck, but my view on luck is just doing the right thing consistently, knowing that over time this will pay off.
Well, they say the harder you work, the luckier you get.
Yeah.
And you were constantly browsing those communities and looking at stuff. So I'm sure that did not happen just like you looked at it in 5 minutes, you saw this and then posted, and then there you have 10,000 orders. I don't think it happened that way, right?
It didn't happen. It could have happened a lot slower. It happened pretty fast for us. It's the intersection of the right person in the right place at the right time. Like we talked about right time already. And like you as the business owner, like you are the right person. Like people want to talk, they don't want to feel like they're talking to a customer support representative who doesn't really know what's going on. Like they want to talk to the business owner, the person who invented the thing, the person who knows what's going on, the person that has authority to do cool stuff. Like only somebody who had a lot of authority at Stanley Muggs could authorize them to say, can I buy you a car? A social media manager could not, and as they have weird rules there, could not authorize just buying cars for their customers online, right?
Well, there's a few things here that I'm hearing is a totally different approach. First and foremost, this is no different than really user groups at the end of the day. You have user groups on Facebook, user groups on WhatsApp, and somebody post something and says, I'm looking for this, and somebody will answer. They'll tag you, and then you'll get a notification, and then you'll say, oh yeah, I can help. Or you can even tag somebody, say so and so would be a good fit for this, and go speak to so and so. So that's the concept at the end of the day. There is nothing different about this. However, what's different is those groups are closed groups. This is not closed. This is open. And those groups are not Google indexed. And this is Google indexed, right?
Yep.
So to me, that's extremely powerful. And the fact that it's open and it can be floated in social media, then all you have to do is really figure out where somebody mentioned something that you can help with
Yep.
your product. You just have to be there. So
yeah, and even in those closed groups, like it still relies on someone to tag you, right? You should be tagging yourself. Like you shouldn't need that. Someone posts it like with this is my idea, right? With the right tooling, I shouldn't need someone to tag me. I should just know that there are good leads for my brand on social media as it happens, right? And I guess like this is where like it segments into like the tool that I built, right? Advite, which you described, I think at a name level, but we haven't really talked about like what it does or why it exists yet.
So tell us the methodology. How, I mean, in your case, of course, you got lucky. You were already, I mean, you were there in the first place. So you were there because you knew this was something that could do something for you. So you were watching it. But how do you commercialize this approach? What is the methodology? And then how does your platform handle this?
Okay, so first thing that, like, I'll start from the platform and work backwards. Okay, so from a platform perspective, Advite uses AI to read social media to qualify leads for your brand. So with one click, we can read your website, your Amazon listings, and figure out what you sell, what makes a good customer for your brand, where those people hang out online, and then we look for people trying to buy products like yours, or they face a problem that your customers face. And even if they haven't mentioned that essential oils might help them but your essential oils do solve their problem, context relevancy, similar to how a human would know that this is a relevant post for me, our AI can know too. And then we send you the notifications for that as they happen, so that you can respond. Because like I said, the first step is getting the right timing. So that's why I said, like, let's talk about Advite first. Is, our tool is $22 a month and takes care of making sure you know about what's happening. The next step is responding. We do not write responses because, once again, there is no way that I could write as good of a response as, can I buy you a car? There's no way that like AI can do that, at least today in 2024. AI is pretty darn good, but it's not that good, and it doesn't know how much money you can spend or what can be authorized. It does not know how to create magic. Here's a few tips on how to create social media magic. The first step is to go in and help. No matter what is being talked about, your first step is not to sell, it is to help. Which is why Can I Buy You a Car worked. It's because they did not try to sell to the people in the comments, say, look, everyone here should buy Stanley mugs. No, can I help you? Right? People recognize that benevolence and they want to attach themselves to brands that are generally just good people. The best way to help is to establish credibility. So how do the people in the comments know that you know what you're talking about? So it's partially how you can start inserting the ad portion of your comment, where you can say, hey, I am the founder of a brand that does blank, or I've had 10,000 people buy my product, and I'm not trying to sell you this product. I'm just using this a credibility point to communicate my help, right? I'm an expert in this and I can help you. This is how you know I'm an expert, and this is the help that I'm providing.
What I see here is, I think it's a very important part of it, is you are meeting a request. You're not out there pushing something. You are meeting a request. So in other words, they are an inbound lead for you. It's a much, much easier sale to speak to an inbound lead than you going out there and trying to push your product. So that's the best part of it. And also it comes in the form of help rather than advertising, right?
Yeah. And like when it comes to like recommending products to, because like eventually like you're not doing this just to give away all your money to strangers on the internet, right? You are doing this to drive traffic to your listings. Know how you position your listing amongst your competitors, link yourselves and link your competitors. And this is the part that is very non-intuitive. It's like, why am I doing the work to advertise my competitors? Well, you probably want to pick competitors that are maybe not direct competitors, but are at a different class or level than yourself. If you are the expensive premium version, link the cheap and cheerful version and describe what are the drawbacks of using them. Not shit talking, but just being candidly like, it's good, like it will do this, but like this is the, if you're trying to do this or harder, then you probably should consider a better option. Like we designed our products to do this, you know, and then you can link yourselves to the premium version or the other way around. You know, like if you're on a budget, like we are the low cost way to get this done and it'll be good for this much work. But ultimately, like if this is, you know, you're using this product every single day, multiple times a day, you might want to consider like, you know, like we're friends with the people that make this brand and ultimately it's a pretty good product, but obviously at a higher price point. Because by being neutral and giving options, it shows that you're not just here to sell, but you have already done a lot of things that are selling because you have now let the community know that you are a brand, you are listening, you are here to help, you have expertise, you provided great advice, and there are links to your product. And people on Reddit are very familiar with like opening up a new tab to go shopping and look up and research things. And that is the general gist of like how to write a good comment. When you get good at this, like you can bang these out in like 30 seconds or less. Not essentially like you're not copy pasting from like some document where you've copied this, but these answers can be like 2 sentences. Like, for example, with Advite, I get notifications about people trying to get social listening tools, right? People are looking for ways to engage with their brand on Reddit or on social media. And my tool finds those posts for me so I can comment in those threads. And so most of my replies are like 50 words or less.
So ultimately, you get, I mean, you know what they say, it's the timing is everything, right? So that's what the platform provides. It gets you the timing. It gets you in front of the right comment.
Yeah, basically it's the right place and the right time. And then the human part, what we teach is how to be the right person, how to communicate that your advice should be the best advice in this thread.
I have a question for my listeners. Are you experiencing cash flow challenges with your Amazon business? Well, silly question. Who is not, right? So let me introduce you to Viably, a unique solution tailored for Amazon sellers and e-commerce enterprises. By connecting your Seller Central or Shopify account, you can promptly access funding along with a variety of financial tools, all for a flat fee. It's as simple as that. And for my listeners, they are offering an extra $1,500 in funding for eligible applications. Start your quick and easy application today at runviably.com/legends. And that's runviably.com/legends. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the mechanics of this thing. So first of all, I heard earlier you mentioned that there is no like setting up with keywords. You get AI to interpret the content of whatever it is that you want to promote.
Exactly. Yeah.
Listing, and then it's going to extract all the keywords because you've loaded up your listing with all the keywords that are important for you, right? It takes all that and then it goes out there and looking. So first question is, I get the feeling you're doing this on exclusively on Reddit or in multiple places.
So currently we monitor 3 platforms: Reddit, X, which formerly known as Twitter, and Connectively, which is a PR platform where there are lots of journalists who write like best of e-commerce, best of summer blog, type articles where you might want to be featured in more traditional media publications. Like I would say Connectively is for more general backlinking and SEO and domain authority improvement, whereas Twitter and Reddit are for more the dynamic social growth and the viral growth that we were talking about for most of the time.
Okay, so Reddit, X, and Connectivity.
Yeah, it's called Connectively. Most people know it as Haro or Help a Reporter Out, but they rebranded.
Okay, so you are monitoring these platforms for anything that may be a good match. And then anytime somebody mentions any of the content that's relevant to your listing, you get a notification.
Exactly. Yeah. So we've got a system that creates customized, think of ChatGPT type questions that you might ask about a post. Is this person trying to buy a product like mine? Is it essentially the gist of what's going to be asked about this post? And if they meet similar to how a human would know this is a good answer, if our AI would pick it up and then send you a message on Slack, which is like an instant messaging platform, that you have a new lead on social media, that all you got to do is respond.
Okay. So when in order to respond, so it's just a free form, you whatever answer you want to give. How does the linking occur? So how do you deal with that? You just plug in your listing URL? Is that the way it works?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to linking, let's explain this a little bit deeper, right? Linking is an interesting concept on Reddit because on one hand, Reddit has no track links. So any link that is placed on Reddit likely does not show up in your Google Analytics or dashboard about the referral source, because Reddit disables that. They don't want to encourage people to do performance marketing on Reddit. So the acquisition traffic is often lost. So that's the first step. So you don't need to worry about UTM tracking or referral tracking or anything like that. Next thing you want to think about is some subreddits don't allow links at all to external sites. So it's important to know that if you're in a subreddit that allows links or does not allow links. On Reddit, as you write your reply, there will be a little sidebar that tells you the rules. And Reddit has moderators that will delete your content if it does not follow the rules. Most of the rules are pretty basic. They're just don't harass people, don't be mean. But there will always be a rule about how to deal with self-promotion and how to deal with links, because every community is a little different. If it's no links, you just mention the brand name. But when I was doing it, I didn't link anything. I rarely ever link Advite. I mostly just type in our brand name and people just book calls on my website, because we know that if you search an Advite into Google, we're the first result. And the first thing you see when you click on our website is a button to book a call with me. So I comment on Reddit and then I get a meeting notification that I have a new call booked. All right, well, I think I know where that lead came from. At scale, it's a bit harder to track. But yeah, you don't necessarily need to put a link in. You can just mention the brand. If you know that you do not rank well on Amazon and the only place you sell is on Amazon, then you probably want to place a link. And when you place a link, the best practice is to place multiple links so that you are seen as being fair and balanced, and you're not just linking to all of your own products, you are linking to your competitors' products as well.
Okay.
or like,
So
similar products that could solve the problem that maybe aren't competitors. Like if someone is suffering with falling asleep, you could recommend them a sleep mask, essential oils, and a weighted blanket,
yeah,
right? Where, some people will, maybe they already have two of the three options, then they'll try and get the essential oils, or, but ultimately you're not just saying that you're not trying to position yourselves as like the God and Savior, the only solution out there.
yeah. I mean, this is bottom line. This is going to be external traffic that you'll be driving to your listing. So we're talking about this from Amazon sellers' point of view. So this is going to be external traffic, and there are, you can do nothing and let the external traffic hit your listing.
Mhm.
You're not going to know where they are coming from, or that in fact it is external traffic. Or you can use attribution tags. Is that something that would be allowed in this case?
Yeah, I mean, like Reddit cleans a lot of attribution tags out. Like I don't recommend using attribution tags. At least with Reddit, I recommend do not using acquisition tags. And Twitter, go nuts. The reason why is Redditors are more often than not paranoid. And if they feel like they're being tracked, measured, and watched, they think that they all of a sudden your nice, kind help. It's no longer nice and kind. It's just an ad, and the curtain goes away. They see you for what it is.
Okay, so it's a
So
behavioral issue. It's not a technical issue, but it's a behaviorally, it's not recommended.
it's not recommended. Yeah, it's the nature. It's once again, Reddit has all these rules and limitations, but it is the most popular place where people learn about new products, the most trusted place in terms of Google's algorithm. And this is where, and it has the viral potential to drastically grow your brand. Like something that might be on non-obvious for new users to Reddit is a post that you see could have like 10 likes and 2 comments. And that post could drive hundreds of thousands of dollars towards your brand.
Yeah, yeah.
Reddit has an incredibly low engagement rate. So for every like vote that you see and every comment that you see, there are thousands of people. Obviously, depending on the community size, but thousands of people who just read and scroll by. Um, but it's not like they're reading and not taking action. They'll read it, open up a new tab, and then just continue the journey from where they left off.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, there's
So the
a
other,
subreddit even called like new to Reddit, which explains Reddit for people who are brand new to the platform.
yeah. So the other way to drive is, of course, as far as the links, is use the associates link, Amazon associates link.
I'm not sure what that is actually, but I'm sure a lot of your audience does. I haven't been selling on Amazon in 3 years. I'm not sure if it's a new thing.
Well, no, Amazon associates program is ages old.
Okay, then I apologize.
No, it's okay. No, I mean, they put a new spin on the Amazon Associates program. So now there is something called Amazon Creator Connections program. So what happens is, so going way back when, so remember the days that Amazon launched, well, I don't think you would remember. You must be for me, when Amazon launched selling books,
Yep,
that's how they got big. They
of course.
created this associates program, which is basically link tracking. And anybody who bought a book, and all these geniuses who figured out SEO put out all these websites driving traffic, and they would drop the Amazon products on their sites. And then anytime that product sold, they would make a commission. So that's called Amazon Associates Program. So if you really want to get into the history aspect of it, was they in fact used their Amazon Associates program to politically influence a policy decision about sales tax. And it happened in Colorado, where one day they simply sent one email and said, all the Amazon associates in state of Colorado are being fired. There will be no more commission, no more nothing, because in state of Colorado, your legislature passed the sales tax to impose on sales tax on every single online sale, and write to your congressman and ask them to, reverse this decision. So associates fell victim to it. So, and then a few years later, they changed position and said, okay, we now support sales tax. So anyway, so associates have been around a long time, but what they did recently is, with this influencer movement becoming stronger and stronger, they already have the infrastructure. So they added this program called Creator Connections. So but in order to be in Creator Connections program, you have to be an Amazon associate. And when you become an Amazon associate, you have dedicated links. So that way, Amazon can track. By the way, if you leverage Amazon associates, the seller doesn't pay anything. It comes out of Amazon's pocket.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, like, ultimately, I don't have too much data on whether like these links will get taken down or removed, but it goes against the spirit of it, is what I think my main point, right? The spirit of this, like the goal before selling and sales and tracking and marketing knowledge being the goal, the first thing you have to think about is making magic happen.
Right.
If you make magic happen, everything else comes into place. If you try too hard to be too prescriptive about this, it's like the greatest brand interactions ever online were never started to sell something. It was all just to make magic happen from the brand account.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I mean,
maybe like we'll leave it at that when it comes to linking, is that like, you know, people, if you want to do this well, at least on social media, you're not the moderator of it. Don't try too hard on tracking. It's less of a big deal on Facebook, right? You know, we currently do not monitor on Facebook groups, but, you know, check back with us well, I guess after this airs, maybe we will, but check back with Advite and you will see that like Facebook groups where link tracking is not really even a thing that's a worry for anybody. Feel free to be much more liberal there. Instagram and TikTok, go be liberal, go nuts. I mean, people don't really care about tracked links because they all got URL shortened anyways automatically.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. So my thinking, being always data oriented, I'd like to know. So in my book, there's 3 types of traffic. There's organic traffic on Amazon, there's paid traffic, and there's external traffic. I'd like to separate them. So in this case, Reddit traffic will not show up anywhere, but the others can show up under external traffic. Okay, so really to recap, you are simply monitoring your Advite program, monitors Reddit and X, formerly Twitter, and connectively.
Yeah.
To find mentions that are relevant to your listing, and then gives you a notification. It's then up to you to respond to it. And the best practice is do not sell. Do not just propose your product. Offer help by giving your perspective on not only yours, but also on competition. And then, of course, the way to address it is to really use your brand, because ultimately they're going to go search your brand, right? That's what they're going to do. Yeah, it's not a good idea to give keywords because there are others using those keywords and they'll end up somewhere else. You mentioned several times, and now I see why you kept emphasizing brand, because that's all you are selling. You are selling your brand. That's what you are doing.
Yeah, you're positioning, this is your education play, right? You know, if you think about your marketing funnel, like awareness to education to purchase, like this is your education play. This is where people are learning about products like yours. And the point I lost my train of thought on is around like what you said, numbers. Like I like my numbers. What do I want to track? So we'll be reporting on this very shortly, but the metric that is tracked in the world of social selling is called earned media value, or EMV for short. So earned media value, you can think of it like your CPM, like cost per mile, or what your cost is to place an ad in front of a relevant audience, is equivalent to the earned media value. So earned media value would be the number of people that have read your comment. Because essentially, if you are commenting and this comment is essentially an ad for your brand, then you are basically placing an ad. And the number of people that view that ad is your earned media value. And if you know from your other marketing metrics that if you put your ad in front of 1,000 people that you will make 5 new sales, then Advite can report to you, hey, you've just placed an ad in front of 20,000 people. You know that you have now just made 100 new sales.
Yeah.
Even if you can't track it, but if you see a bump in your sales to the tune of 100 new sales that day, and Advite saying you just put your ad in front of 20,000 people, by plugging in what your traditional CPM metric conversion rate is, Advite is essentially offering you the same experience, but with earned media value. It's just views. There is no performance tracking, but you intuitively should know that views do relate to sales.
Yeah.
Because this is a hyperly targeted ad placement, way better, way more relevant than any social media platform could offer you from their services.
Well, it's credibility, right? So it instant credibility, because you are becoming a resource to somebody looking for help. So
Yeah, exactly. And if that thread is really popular, then you become a resource for everybody looking for help for years to come. Right? You know, if Google decides that your Reddit thread is the one that's indexed, you're laughing, right?
So when you are running paid ads, whether on Amazon or Facebook or anywhere else, you're advised never to stop your advertising because it hurts you. So in this case, starting, does that hurt the performance or not?
Not really. I mean, like, but when it comes to doing social selling, it's just like the more that you're active, the better. Because when people search your brand, like, what's it now? Like 60% of Gen Z research brands on social media, not Google, right? You know, people are searching your brand into social media, and they find that it's like 100 threads where you've been helpful in providing help, and that's why your brand is mentioned in all these threads. You're going to win, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, but that also is an advantage, because you keep spending money just for the sake of staying on all the time. In this case, if you really want to measure, you can turn on, turn off, and see the impact, and you'll get an idea.
Yeah, like I would say there's not really a penalty to turning on and turning off.
Yeah.
But the more that you are turned on, the more credibility you earn with the community. And the more credibility you earn with the community, the more likely that they are going to evangelize you when you're asleep, right? You know, you're going to have to stop working at some point in the day. And even if we send you notifications, everyone's got a limit to what they can respond to. But if you've successfully evangelized the community of people that buy your product, they will link you and your brand and tag you in your absence. And that's how you know you've made it.
Yeah. So this is not necessarily just limited to selling products, right? This could be for anything. Service could be any kind of.
We have all sorts of customers across a ton of different verticals. I mean, let's not get too much into politics with the upcoming US election, but this is the exact sort of play that a lot of governments use to influence elections too, right? Understand what people are saying online and try and influence them at a one-to-one scale. Do that enough times and you're influencing people at the thousands and thousands scale.
There's an old saying, you tell a lie in one village and then you believe it 9 villages down the road.
Yeah.
It just goes viral. It becomes reality.
Yeah, this can work for anything, but I would say like it works best. Like I know this works for e-commerce. Like this is my brand story.
Yeah,
And we've had lots of customers that have had lots of success doing the same.
that's great. Well, it's interesting. I'm happy to have you share your story and also share the methodology. And at the end of the day, this is just being at the right place at the right time, right?
Yep.
That's all it is.
If anyone listening wants to give it a try, just say that you listened to our Argometrics chat with Nick and Derek, and I'll give you extra week on your free trial.
Yeah, yeah. So Amazon Legends is what they're gonna mention, and great. So it's a great conversation. I'm gonna try it myself. There's no question. And I don't even have a product. I don't sell a product, but I'm gonna try myself for something I have in mind, and this could be for anything. So Derek, this is now we are almost coming to the end of the show, but my favorite part is here. So I want to get to know my guests a little bit more intimately and then get you to open up a little bit. So obviously you've built your business before selling product, but really in order to sell that product, you invented it and now you've got this platform. So what I want to know is growing up as a kid, this creating products and inventing things and looking at the world in a different way. Looking back at your childhood and everything you went through, when was the first time that you now can tell that this is when my entrepreneurial creative journey started?
Yeah, like I think like, unlike a lot of people, it wasn't like something that I think came about as a kid. Like I have a like my dad is like a very, very good like carpenter, for example. It's not his trade. He spent his years doing business, but around the house, like he would build our basement and he would build everything. And we had a cottage, and he built the whole thing from the ground up, right? So I was around dad my whole life building stuff, and despite that, actually really wasn't that interested in it as a kid, you know. Um, but I think like it was always on the table to, consider how you would make something. I got into science and I got into engineering, not because I knew I wanted to make something, but just because I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. But going into a career like engineering, you at least can, like, you can't really make a mistake. Like at the end of the day, like there's a good job waiting for you somewhere. Um, the first time I tried like how I got into the world of like building things and creating things was in around my second year of university. I attended an interview, and the guy asked me a question in the interview, and he said, so what are you building on the side? And I said, well, what do you mean? He goes, well, every student I've talked to today is building something for fun. What do you build for fun? I said, well, I don't build anything for fun. And he goes, okay, well, I guess this interview's done then. And I walked out and I was like, okay, that hurt, but I meditated on it a little bit and I go, well, why don't I? Like, why am I not making anything? So from then on, I just started to dedicate free time to making stuff. I'm like, I'm in an engineering program, for God's sakes. Why am I not making stuff for fun? Like, I should not be in this program if I don't like making stuff. And then it
What was
was
the
less than a
interview
year.
for? What was the
It was just
interview
for
for?
like an internship, right? It was for an internship
Oh,
with, I don't even remember the company at this point. Um, but it basically just got my brain churning. Like, what am I doing? Like, I'm not just in university. Felt like I was just following the steps, just
yeah.
listening to the teacher. Yes, yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Getting my grades, moving on. And then starting to build something was like this moment where it's like, oh no, I'm in control. I'm no longer just listening to what the teacher says. I can do whatever I want. It started with costumes. So I used to do like professional like costume and cosplay design. And I would enter costume contests and win them to fund the money to then make more costumes, then make bigger costumes, and enter bigger contests, and then win more money. And then I would sell the ones that I was tired of. And yeah, that was my first thing that I ever did. And then the next thing after that, I used to take apart like Nintendo 3DS at the time, like the handheld consoles, and wire them to be programmatically controlled by a computer. So the use case at the time was if you wanted to automate the creation of Pokemon, you walk back and forth 10,000 times, and then a new Pokemon hatches, and that's very tedious. So I I automated it. And then after that, I worked at Facebook, and I started building like bigger equipment, and I built a bar at the time. And then I went back to school, and my friends and I had a research project, and we said, hey, this is a really cool research project. And I'm like, cool, like let's make it, let's build it. Because I was on the hook of building everything that I touched at this point. And that was Spot My UV. And the rest is history.
This guy awakened the giant.
Yeah, exactly. Like I just didn't know that I liked making stuff. Like I think like for the longest time, like you just do what people, I don't know, it was kind of like for my whole life, I just did what people told me to do. And entrepreneurship and building stuff was just making things that no one told me to do. So I made a whole bunch of stuff that no one wants, but I think I made some stuff that people do like. And that is satisfying.
Do you remember that guy's name?
No, no.
Oh my God, the
I
guy is
don't
the
remember
most
a thing.
significant guy in your life, and you don't
He
even
could
remember.
he could be. He could be. I don't remember a thing. I think
You
like
know, if
right after the interview, I just blacked it out. It was terrible. It was embarrassing. It was like one of the most embarrassing things I've ever experienced.
it was the best thing that happened to you.
I guess so. Yeah, yeah.
If something like that happened to me, I tell you, I would have definitely gone back and found the guy. I tell you a quick story, nothing to do with what happened to you, but kind of similar in terms of the impact. So when I was a kid, like first, second grade, I was not an easy child in terms
Mhm.
of mornings. I was not a morning person. As a kid, I did not want to, if my stomach would not feel well, and I never wanted to have breakfast. And also, I was an extremely competitive kid. So if I ever got a bad grade, that was bad for me.
Mhm.
I did not want to go to school that day. So the easiest way to get out of it was to refuse eating breakfast or doing anything, because then it would take forever. They would try to convince me and push and push, and then I would be late, and then it's too late to go to school. So anyway, one day things went too far because I had a bad grade and I pushed not to go, and my mother pushed, and so in the end we have a major argument at home, like crazy argument, like major
Mhm.
rebelling going on.
You're like
School,
7 or 8 years old at the time.
yeah, something like that. And my mother grabbed me and she said, I can't deal with you. I'll let your teacher deal with you. And by this time, it was already over. Like everybody would be home. And she grabbed me and took me my teacher's house.
Oh, wow.
So, of course, I'm thinking now I'm in real trouble because there is no hiding anything from my teacher about my grades. Plus, now I've done something bad at home and my mother is bringing me to her.
Right, right.
And at the same time, my mother is thinking, that's it. He is going to know better next time. But my teacher was, I can tell you today that there's a couple of women in my life, the most important women. And my teacher comes before my mother.
What did she do to you?
She just sat down and talked to me. Like she made a huge impact. She
Hmm.
made a huge impact. That bad situation translated into an experience for me to appreciate her perspective, and her compassion and everything else. I was one of her students, and she used to beat her students. Like one day, the headmaster walked in, and she was in the middle of beating somebody with a ruler, and the guy felt bad and said, "Look, you're only beating yourself up." So she was not like one of those, oh, lovey-dovey kind of. No, she was strict, but there was no display of anything like that. It was the most impact in my life. So in your case, hearing you talk about, I mean, this guy completely unleashed the creativity in you. And you know what I did? This was my elementary school teacher. So I moved on. Of course, I wasn't born in America. I left many, many, many years ago. And about 15 years ago, Derek, I had this urge to find her. Of course, the first thing that came to my mind was, is she still alive? And they have this Teachers' Day, International Teachers' Day, and I found her. It took me 7 months to find, and I found her, and I called her on Teachers' Day, and she was like in tears.
Oh,
said,
yeah, wow.
"You have no idea about the impact you made in my life." I said, "You are not only someone who impacted me, but also one of the best teachers that I've ever seen. There's nobody like you." So it was a big deal for me. Anyway,
I've got to go. Maybe now I have to go back and deal with my old university and ask them to see if they keep records of like the system, because it was like the interview was booked through like some university system, like who I interviewed with. Because I would probably be able to pick it out of a pile. But yeah, I don't remember. My mind like blanks out that interview, but all I knew walking away from it was like, I should go make something. I should figure out something I want to exist and then just make it. And I've kind of been doing that my whole life ever since.
Yeah, I mean that's what did it for you. So I'm really happy. I'm glad you had that interview, and I'm glad that the floodgates open, and I'm glad you're doing this. So share with us your contact information, Derek. How can people reach you? And also they will mention Amazon Legends for their free trials. Tell us, how can they get to you?
The easiest way to get to me is if you just go to Advite, Advite, advite.ai. If you search Advite into Google, we should be the first result. On that page, there is a button to book a demo with me. So you can meet me over a video call. At the bottom of the page, there is my LinkedIn. On my LinkedIn, you can connect with me and tell me that you listen to the Amazon Legends podcast, and I'm happy to chat to you or answer any questions that came to your head that we didn't discuss today. And my email, in case anybody wants to just go direct straight into my inbox, is just the letter D at advite.ai. D at advite.ai.
Cool. Great. So we'll put this information obviously in your episode page. So anybody who wants it, they'll be able to find it there. And those of you listening, you must reach out to Derek. As you've heard, first of all, is a nice guy, very helpful, which is the whole purpose behind his platform, is to be helpful, and in the process, of course, promote, but help is first, and unique, and does not cost money either. So that's the best part. So thank you, Derek. Thank you for being here.
Hey, Nick, thanks for having me. Have a great rest of your day, and look forward to hearing when this comes out.
Before I go, a quick reminder to say goodbye to your cash flow problems and claim your extra $1,500 when you qualify for $25,000 or more in funding. Go to www.runviably.com/legends and start your application today. Thank you. And this brings us to the end of another episode, and I'll see you on the next one.
If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review the episode, and share it with someone you think would benefit from it too.